I've been experimenting with sharpening carbide saw blades using a little diamond disc on a Dremel tool, and surprisingly it actually works, but it's really hard to be consistent enough to get a really clean cut. I then bought this much larger diamond disc, and this one's really nice and it didn't cost very much, and it's meant to go in a drill like so. But the problem is this thing wobbles a little bit. And I tried straightening up where this thing mounts on here just by grinding it a bit, but the drills themselves aren't that accurate enough either, so I'm not really getting this to run as true as I would like it to. So having taken this thing off of its arbor, I just need to find something that runs true that I can mount this to. A table saw might be ideal, but this hole is just too small. But a guy convinced me to take this handheld circular saw off of his hands because it needs a battery, and of course the battery is long missing and no good anymore. And these things tend to have smaller arbors, so if I take the blade out, the arbor unfortunately is still a little bit too big, but if I put the flange back on here and just screw the blade on the outside like so, that looks like it should run true if I get rid of the rest of this crap. I hate getting these rings off. It's a good thing I don't have to put this saw back together when I'm done. Now with the battery thingy removed, I can just hook up my battery charger, which is just an old 6 amp one from 1980, and that powers the saw. Although not very fast, but I think it'll be okay. I think that runs true enough. It says on here it's supposed to run at 2800 RPM. Performance, power. Looking at that motor, performance, I don't think so. Looking inside, I'm thinking I might just do away with the rest of this housing too, because this is a nice compact little unit. Cute. I want some sort of slide for moving this blade in and out so that it can stay on a central pivot like that, and I can move it to the next tooth. And I was initially thinking of maybe using a ball drawer slide like this one, but then I realized there's probably going to be a bit of carbide grit, so that would probably mess up these things a bit. And then I thought maybe making a wooden slide, but going through my junk, I found this metal slide. And there's no balls in it at all. It does have a bit of play, but maybe I can tighten that up. Got two pieces of this track cut off and play as before, but I made a shim to go into the slot here out of a pop can. And if I slide that on here, that just barely goes in here, and that eliminates most of the play. And it still slides pretty good. I just made a block that fits around here, and then this whole motor thing fits on here, and a knob goes on here, and then I tighten up the hose clamp around the motor, and then the blade has room right here. When I'm grinding blades on here, I need to make sure I'm at a consistent angle this way. So I need to basically just lock the position of the arbor. I'm going to put a little thing in here, this piece of dowel, And then when I slide this in and out, I'll always approach the teeth on here with a consistent angle. I've also got this idea for ensuring that I'll grind all the teeth to a consistent level by indexing the teeth off of some pin against the valley between the teeth using this thing here, and that will lock on here with a knob. I need to install a threaded insert in this hole, and I'm just going to use this bolt that I'm going to put the insert onto and jam it on here with a nut, and then just drive that in with a drill. I've also added this other little knob here which allows me to set how far forward I can come so I don't get too far into the blade. And I also added a board on the back so that I don't come off the board too far, and a little knob that helps me move this forward and back. With the current that this motor draws, this battery charger just isn't delivering 12 volts at 6 amperes anymore. So I'm trying it with this homemade benchtop supply, and with this one I can adjust the voltage. Well, it's a cold and windy day outside, but I'm told carbide dust is really bad for you, so I thought I'd test my sharpener outside. I'm just going to press the blade into the wheel a bit and then set the stop there. Hopefully that'll be consistent. So this blade has a few teeth chipped, and I also did the top of them by holding them freehand against the blade like this. So really I should invent another jig for that as well. So let's see how this blade does on a chunk of hickory. Not the cleanest of cuts, but I was really ramming that through the saw. Going at a more reasonable pace, I get a reasonable cut. Not the cleanest, but it was never that good a blade to begin with.